Hi and welcome back. I am Michaela with TechWise Academy. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of our hill climbing game on MakeCode. Just as a review, our code from video 1 has our background set to this blue color, and then it also has a tile map. So if I click on our tile map, we have 100 by 16. That means it's 100 pixels going to the right and left, and 16 up here. We have our gas cans, which are these like red orb thingies. Our hills are not actually this orangey brown color, they're this green color, but because we added walls to them, the walls make it so that the car can't just drive through the hills. And then at the very end of our tile map, we've got a finish line. So we've got our hills, we've got our walls set up, we've got our gas cans, and then we've got our finish line. So now we're just missing the car. How we're going to do that is under sprites. Remember, these blocks are color coded, and we're going to grab out this red block. We don't want to call it necessarily my sprite because there may be other sprites involved. There's a lot of different ways, and it just makes the code a lot easier if we can say set my sprite. We're going to call that actually to car. So we're going to put new variable and we're going to type in car. So set car to sprite that looks like, we'll design it here in a second, of kind player. So this is going to tell the computer that the car is a sprite that looks like, we'll have something in here in a second, and it's a player sprite. So we're going to tell the computer what it looks like by clicking on this block. You have the option here to design your own sprite. I am not artistically talented, so I'm actually going to go to the gallery. Once you do design your own sprites, they should appear up in my assets, by the way. I'm going to click gallery because I know that there's a car in here that I would like, and I want one facing the right because my car is going to start on the left and then drive to the right. So I want my car to look like it's driving in the correct direction. So I'm actually going to pick this car. You can use whichever one you want, or you could draw your own. And then I'm going to hit done in the corner. So now it says set car to sprite that looks like, oh, there it is, that looks like this specific picture of kind player. There's different ones we could set it as a food, as an enemy. The player sprites have different properties built in, and that's why it is the player. It's also going to be the sprite that the player controls. Now that we have this, our car is always going to be facing to the right, which for me does really bother me because if you remember, our eventual goal is to get the car to move with the arrows. It will be facing to the right because that's what we've told it to do. Now, if that bothers you, there is a way to fix that. So we're going to go under controller, this like burnt red section, and on A button is pressed, we're going to plop that out somewhere in the workspace. I'm going to put it over here. I'm actually going to get another one. So that way I can change this to be right arrow. It'll just say right. So when right button is pressed, meaning this button right here, and when left is pressed, meaning this one. So if I move either to the right or the left, if I'm pressing the buttons or if I'm pressing the arrow keys, something should happen. Well, if we're facing to the right, I want to go to sprite. We're going to go to set image. It's all the way towards the bottom. We're going to set the image of the sprite so that it looks like it's driving to the right. So every time I press the right arrow, I'm going to go to gallery. I am going to find the car that I just picked because it is facing to the right, and then done. And then if this comes up, it's going to try and, it's saving it right now, but if this comes up, it's trying to tell you that it doesn't know what my sprite is. It doesn't have a variable for that anymore, and that's because we've changed my sprite to be called car. So instead, if I click on this, it might even tell me, sometimes it'll tell you the error down here as to why that little triangle is there, but it's just telling me that it can't figure out what my sprite is. It doesn't know what that is. And I'm going to go through and add that same block. I could go through and just add it straight through sprites, go all the way down and find it, or I can right click on this and it will give me the option to duplicate it. It popped it out for me. Now I have another one. I just need to make this one to the left. And I could do one of two things. I could go through and add the gallery, and I could change that if I needed to and add the one that's facing to the left. Or I can use these tools up here, and I want it to flip. I don't want it to rotate. I want it to flip horizontally. There we go. Now my car is driving to the left. So I could do, I flipped this image, or I could have gone to gallery and found it like that, if I had wanted to do that. I just thought it was a fun little fact that they have the flip options here. Now, if I were to test that, give it a second to load. If I press the right arrow, it's not going to move yet, but if I press the left arrow, it should turn and face the correct direction. Because otherwise, if you don't add this code in here, it will eventually move to the left, but it will look like it's driving in reverse. So as opposed to driving forward, it'll be facing this way and it'll look like it'll drive backwards, which is fine if you want it to do that. It's a cool feature to add, but if not, this is how we're going to get that to change. This next block that we're going to add is going to go into the OnStart program, and it's going to make the car drop to the bottom, which is why we can't see the hills right now. So this is going to be under sprites. We're looking for the block that says set my sprite X to 0, and it's going to go last in the OnStart program. We don't want my sprite. Yep, there's the error. It says sim error failed to cast on null. That just means that it doesn't know what my sprite is named. It's named car. We also want to change this X so that it's going to be AY acceleration Y. So let me go ahead and find that AY acceleration Y. Now this block, acceleration, is the changing of speed or direction. So if I were speeding up, that's acceleration because my speed has changed. If I change direction, so now I was going north and now all of a sudden I'm going south, that is also acceleration. So acceleration is really how much an object is speeding up or slowing down in a particular direction. So we want our car to fall to the ground. We want to change its direction, and this number is going to tell us how fast it's going to change its direction, or what its speed should be. So we're actually going to take that out, and instead of 0, we're going to put in a 400. And then if I restart that, my car just drops because we've told it to drop in the Y direction. So Y is going to go up and down, and X is going to go left and right. So we've told it to change the direction, which it's falling now, and then we've told it to do it at 400. Now, as the person playing the game, I can't see my car anymore. That's going to make it very difficult for me to play the game if I can't actually do that. So what we'll do, right now the camera is just chilling where we started. We're going to get it to move so that it always follows the car, so that the car will always be in the player's viewpoint. How we do that is under scene. It's going to be under camera. We're going to tell it to camera follow sprite. So I'll put that at the bottom of the OnStart. It's going to give me that error again. We need to change it to car. This time you'll notice that when the car falls, we go with it. Oh, and there's the gas can, and I can see the hills with that. In our car, now our car still does not move, but our next video will be how do we get the car to move, how do we get it to jump, and how do we get the car to stop double jumping. So stay tuned for our next video. Thank you for watching today, and have fun creating it. Mess around with the different values. Have fun with it. Bye!